David Taylor was hired as Oklahoma State's next head wrestling coach. So we decided to drop everything, pack up, and head to Stillwater.
Tyler, why are you on a skateboard? Why do you have all that stuff in your hands? Okay, questions already. To answer the first question, I'm meeting Bader at the bottom of this parking garage, and I didn't feel like walking. To answer the second question, 2 nights ago, we found out that David Taylor was hired as the new head coach at Oklahoma State. He's going to be in Stillwater for the first time as head coach at Oklahoma State tomorrow. Stillwater is only a 7-hour drive from Austin, Texas. So me, David Bray, and Mark Bader are all packing up, and we're heading up there to see what's going on. I have multiple goals for this trip, but I'm gonna wait till I get in the car with Bader and Bray to tell you those. You ready, Bader?
I'm ready, bro. We're gonna do this.
This is a beautiful van, Bray.
Let's go. Where are we going?
Stillwater, baby. Look at the fog. We're going through the fog.
What are our goals for when we get to Stillwater, David?
We want to...
How do I turn this light on?
One of our goals is figure out how to turn the light on. We want to talk to whatever, athletes we can.
Number 1, talk to as many current Oklahoma State athletes as possible. You want to find out how these kids feel about this because they just lost the coaches that they came to the school for.
Whatever prospective students we can. One of their biggest recruits, Ladarian Lockett, he's right there. He's in Stillwater, born and raised. It'd be awesome to talk to him.
Number 2, talk to Oklahoma State's top recruit, Ladarian Lockett.
What does he think about David Taylor being his coach at Oklahoma State instead of what he originally thought he might be committing to?
How are people feeling about this whole thing? That's what we want to know.
The biggest shakeup in college wrestling, probably since Kale got hired, and it's Kale's protege, going to the most storied program in history. What does Cowboy Nation think about this? I gotta think most people are pumped. I know probably some people are mixed emotions, right? I don't know this without looking it up, but I'm thinking it's the first non-Cowboy head coach at Oklahoma State, but it's David Taylor, Kale's protege, dominated the world scene for 5 years straight with one little loss he has Donnie, who's also like one of the greatest. It's great. I can't wait to see what people are going to have to say and how they feel.
Third, we obviously want to hear from David Taylor at the press conference. But fourth, our reach goal for this trip, the one that we are really going to be trying to get, see if we can get some one-on-one time with David Taylor. His head has got to be spinning from this whole situation, and we want to see if we can get a little bit more of a personal look inside his brain right now. He probably has a million things going on at once, so the chances of that are slim, but we're going to try to do it.
What kind of questions are you going to ask David?
Probably about this Drake thing. Gotta figure out what he thinks. I didn't realize you were filming. Yeah. Look, we're getting filled in on the beef. We got 7 hours to drive. We're like halfway into it. But, I want to know, how do you balance the tradition of Oklahoma State and the kind of the Penn State system that comes with, with David Taylor? Like, how do you balance those things? How do you keep the alumni engaged? How do you, there's so much. Recruiting, NIL, building a college system in this new era is just like, it's a whole new thing. So, a million questions. We're probably not going to get to ask all the ones we want because there are going to be a lot of people there.
What's his staff going to be? What's going to happen to M2?
Yeah, all of that, right? How quickly did he decide that this was the next opportunity after? Look, he was gonna try to win an Olympic gold medal. That was gonna happen, right? Like 2 weeks ago. He was literally the #1 ranked pound for pound wrestler in the world. Now he's the head coach at Oklahoma State.
I want to know if he
too many questions.
I want to know if he talked to Kale before making the decision and what that conversation looked like. I don't know if he'll be.
I want to know that too. I don't think we're going to know that. I want to know that. I don't know.
Against all odds, we did get to ask David this question.
Is this something you talk about with Kale?
Stay tuned for his response.
See you in the morning, dog.
See you in the morning.
Good morning.
All right, so some of you kids might be too young to know this, but let me give you a quick history lesson. While I eat breakfast, there's some young kids who all they know is the Kale era. I need one of you to give them a history lesson on Oklahoma State wrestling.
Oklahoma State's the best program ever. They got more team titles than anybody. Super successful early on, like first half of the century, I guess last century. Holy shit. Can I say shit? Yeah, I feel like Oklahoma's where wrestling was born in the United States. And even in the 2000s, top of the heap, damn near every single year.
Growing up as a kid in Colorado, we didn't have like a strong program in our area, if you wanted to be a wrestling fan, you wanted to follow along, you had two choices. It was Iowa or it was Oklahoma State. That was like the whole entire spectrum of wrestling. Are you hard-nosed, hand-fight, pace, Iowa? Or are you slick, technique, Oklahoma State? Do you wear like Asics shoes and, you know, Iowa hard, do sprints? Do you wear Adidas John Smith shoes and hit low singles? It was kind of, that was wrestling. It was these two types of styles. That's how I felt. What were you?
Question, Bader. Thanks for asking. What were you?
I mean, I went to, so this is summer after 8th grade. I was like, I got to get better. I went to Iowa intensive camp. Got to go there for 2 weeks. Incredible. And then summer after 9th grade, I went to Oklahoma State intensive camp. It's funny because I expected them to be like just drastically different experiences. They were so similar. They were like so similar, but I wanted to know what it was like, that hard pace to Iowa. I wanted to know what it was like to see John Smith run in practice.
Are there any parallels throughout history you could compare David Taylor's hiring to?
Yeah, Cael Sanderson's the biggest comparison. You could compare it to the hiring of Dan Gable. He was an Iowa State legend. Iowa snatched him up. Iowa was not, they weren't what they are now, and they weren't who they are until Dan Gable got there. And then, yeah, the Cael Sanderson hiring, right? What happened at Penn State is what Oklahoma State fans hope is about to happen at Oklahoma State, which is good, solid team to like a real contender every year.
And what makes this different than Gable and Cael and awesome is that both of those guys left early on in their coaching careers. While David hasn't coached, he spent 15 years under Cael, who started something brand new. We talked about the Oklahoma State. It was just two teams, Oklahoma State and Iowa, and then boom, a third team emerges, and it's Cael, and David's like his #1 recruit that came across, and I feel like it's the pace and the pressure and the technique. Both those programs and styles combined into like a new age ass-kicking machine, and been there since day one with Cael and seen it from the ground up. It's exciting. But the thing is, we don't know how it's gonna pan out. Everybody's excited. It's shaking things up, but like, could David Taylor be the next big thing? Yeah, but he's still got it to do. He's proved nothing on the college coaching front, and everybody's excited. It's got the potential to be something big, but like, time will tell, and things have to unfold. We can't get out and say, oh, here comes the next dynasty. It's like, Cael's still at the top, running things, and can David do it?
Running a club is an interesting thing to do because there's the coaching on the mat element, but then there are the other parts of it, the logistics, the getting to events, the designating other people who are going to run things for you at certain times. It's kind of crazy how much he's packed into his post-college career professionally. It'll be interesting. He's got the cows. I mean, it's going to prepare.
Can't forget about those.
You cannot forget about the cows.
It prepares you for Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have nearly as many as John Smith has.
I don't think he's slaughtered a cow yet.
Or bird one.
Yeah.
John's out there birthing cows.
What do you mean burning them?
Birth.
Oh, birthing. I think he said burning cows. Like,
come on, baby.
Yeah.
And that's why this hire is a huge deal. We might be telling people in 20 years where we were on the day that David Taylor got hired at Oklahoma State.
We're driving up here. We're like, I don't know, hour and a half from Stillwater, and we just found out press conference is off. It's not today. It's tomorrow. But we want to know when are these guys getting in? Their flight was delayed. David Taylor, he literally just also announced that Thomas Gilman and Jimmy Kennedy are on staff. So maybe all three of them are coming. Sounds like that could be the plan. But flight is delayed. It was supposed to get in. We just found out at like 11:30. So Bader's going to call the airport and see if we can figure out when the new one's going to land.
There's no option. Flight tracker for the Stillwater Airport, and it's got a flight coming in from State College. There ain't no flight from State College to Stillwater. So that's clearly, that's the magic flight. Supposed to get in at 11:09. Now it says no information available. Contact airline. Doesn't say what airline. This is American. It's got that little American icon. This is like some little black private. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can't even click on it.
So we might be spending the night in Stillwater.
I mean, yeah.
To make the most of our newfound time, we figured we'd stop at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Look at babyface David Taylor, the Magic Boy. He won the Dave Schultz High School Excellence Award. That's the top high school wrestler. This is back in 2009. Let's see what else we can find. So this is a wall. This wall just kind of highlights different decades, right? This is the 2010s, and here you got Penn State.
kind of really dominant in the 2010s, and there he is, looking a little bit older.
I'm right here. Just got hired, already has a presence in Stillwater at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
One more thing, can't forget this. This, if you see this, all Olympic champions, you get Olympic gold medal, they make a picture of you, and there he is.
Boom.
All right, we're headed over to Gallagher-Iba Arena. We're going to talk to Ladarian Lockett. He's Oklahoma State's top recruit for the class of 2025. So U17 world champ. He was in the Olympic trials. He beat Meyer Shapiro. This guy's really good. So it'll be fun to get his perspective. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind couple of days for him and all these recruits that are thinking about Oklahoma State.
I like the coaches we had, and obviously I committed to those guys, but David Taylor and Thomas Gilman and Jimmy Kinney, they're great guys. I mean, 2 Olympic medalists, Olympians, so they can only make us better, help our program, and I feel sorry for the guys that had to go, but it is what it is. It's a business decision, and you know, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take it on.
I love hearing him talk about his matches as at the end, but I mean, he's very open and receptive to David Taylor. You know, who wouldn't be? He said when in the NCAA finals, when he took Dake down and like took him to the edge and ran him off the mat, he said that was his gangster stuff. Yeah. I think that was awesome. That was great.
You know, that's a little bit gangster of him.
Then we were sitting there talking to his dad, and who rolled up?
Yeah, timing was really interesting because David Taylor, Thomas Gilman, Jimmy Kennedy, they all came up with the AD.
We were standing out here waiting, and there was like a bunch of Oklahoma State athletes waiting just like right here, and I was wondering, like, man, I wonder if David Taylor's about to show up. And then sure enough, he walks up. I think we might have seen him shake the hands of some of the Oklahoma State athletes for the first time as head coach. We got to be there for that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I did too, and more to come. Press conference is still tomorrow, so we're gonna learn a lot more. We're gonna hear a lot more. It's weird though too, you know, you see the student athletes walking in for the first time and they're a little nervous. You can tell that, you know,
whatever.
It's new. Yeah, it's a new.
Anxious, not a bad way. It's just like good energy, and David seemed really relaxed. I was like, "Have you been overwhelmed?" He's like, "It's just a lot." Yeah, a lot. You're learning a lot on the fly. There's a lot of new stuff.
I don't know if I can put this in, but you know what I noticed was the AD and all the other athletes had walked inside, and he made a point to stop and talk to Ladarian's dad, which shows to me that he's already putting his head coach hat on. Let me talk to this top recruit's dad, make sure he knows me and I'm familiar with him. I thought that was a veteran move, like right off the bat.
I thought he was stopping to talk to us.
That was a veteran move. Another veteran move, Thomas Gilman, cowboy hat, right off the plane. Right off the plane. And yeah, D. Lockett said that Gilman used to be like the enemy, you know, as of a week ago, he would have never thought this is a guy that he'd be working with. But yeah, he talked about Gilman being a Hawkeye and that tension. And
Thomas Gilman was not a guy I liked.
That was pretty fun too. It's gonna be such an interesting staff. Just the beginning too, because I think we're gonna be talking about this staff and this program for years to come.
All right, so press conference got postponed. We spent the night here in Stillwater. Day one, we didn't get much. We got D. Lockett, didn't get any current Oklahoma State wrestlers, or David Taylor, which kind of sucks. I think they really wanted everyone to just wait until after the press conference. So it's 8:50 a.m. right now. We're about to go head over to Gallagher-Iba Arena. The press conference will be in 1 hour. We'll see what we can get from there and then see if we can break away. Press conferences are always great, but I always feel like you can get better answers, get a better insight when you can get with these athletes one-on-one. So that's the real goal right now. See if anyone's willing to split off with us and talk with us in a more casual setting without all of the lights and all of the reporters. I guess we technically, are we reporters? I don't know. I think we're just cool guys who like wrestling. You let me know what you think.
Ray, you just told me some bad news.
Well, we got a really narrow window to talk to our coaches. I don't think it's that bad of news. It's just we got to divide and conquer. Narrow window to talk to David Taylor, Jimmy Kennedy, and Thomas Gilman because they're going to be in meetings all day, which makes sense.
This was not great news when it came to accomplishing our goals, but I still had faith.
So this is where it's about to go down. I got my camera down there already. David right there, Beta right there. We're ready to rock.
When they finally introduced David, he got a standing ovation.
In this position with what I thought were a lot of great options. But one of the names I kept hearing was David Taylor. David's path to this point is very similar to his predecessor, John Smith. Like John, when he took over Cowboy Wrestling, this is David's first college coaching job. But also like John, David is a winner. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you the 8th head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboy Wrestling program, David Taylor.
I mean, I think right away, just looking in here, there's more people here than there is the World Championships. So that just speaks volumes to what this program means to everybody. My wife, Kendra, we wrestled each other when we were 10 years old. Funny story, when I woke up that morning, my very first ever back spasm, I couldn't even tie my shoes. That wrestler was a beast. I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do? How am I gonna win this match? But I pinned her. So.
David absolutely crushed this press conference. And after it was over, we headed to the breakout rooms where we were able to get interviews with Dayton Fix, Thomas Gilman, Jimmy Kennedy, Braden Thompson, Chad Weiberg, and Chad Richardson, but not David Taylor. For some reason, DT was not in the breakout room. As I neared the end of my interview with Jimmy Kennedy, virtually all other members of the media had exited the room, and I had come to the bitter conclusion that we not only weren't going to get one-on-one time with David, but we weren't going to get any time with him outside the press conference at all. I thought we had failed, and I was bummed. But then, as I neared the end of my interview with Jimmy Kennedy, Bader said something behind me that made my ears perk up.
What's up, Dave?
I couldn't believe it. David had wandered into the breakout room after all the media left, and Bader began conducting the first ever one-on-one interview with David Taylor as head coach of Oklahoma State.
All right, Dave. Man, I guess just like initial thoughts when you got that call.
After I finished my interview with Jimmy, I rushed over to Bader and David, just in time to hear Bader ask a pretty personal question, one that we weren't sure would get the intimate opportunity to ask while on this trip. I want to know if you talked to Kale before making the decision and what that conversation looked like. I don't know if he'll be...
I want to know that too. I don't think we're going to know that. I want to know that. I don't know.
Is this something you talk about with Kale? Or is it like, you know, you make the decision and let him know?
I did. So I mean, just obviously I've been with these guys for so long, and nobody had reached out to me in the past, you know. And when they reached out, I called the coach and said, hey, I got contacted, you know, just want to let you know, and it's stuff I'm really considering. And they were great. They gave me time to think about it, you know, and all of them, you know, they're like, we love you and we're happy for you and the journey that you want to take. Just like, what do you want to do, you know? And you know, I had 2 life plans. You know, I had a life that I was doing and this life plan, and we went back and forth on it, and ultimately realized that this is what I want to do. And just communicating that with them, they're happy. You know, Coach Kale is like, you know, obviously just his Coach Casey and Coach Cody. Coach Cody's away this week, which is a little hard. You know, he's with Zane at the Last Chance qualifier. So, you know, it's just communicating with them the best that I could about how I was feeling and being transparent, you know, because I think that was the best thing to do, you know, when talking through these things. And they let me come to my own conclusion. You know, they didn't want me to leave, but they were obviously like, this is what you want. You know, we love you, wish you the best, and you know, now just, you know, ultimately it's going to make wrestling a little more exciting. You know, it's and I think that's something that I think everyone knows. But at the same time, you know, closing loops back home is tough. But that's why once we got boots on the ground here, it was different. Like, okay, finally we're here. You know, we can like get involved in what we're doing here. It was the couple days where, you know, I was announced and I was still home. That was challenging because I'm trying to do what I can to be down here, but I wasn't down here and everything was new. So once I got down here, I got to meet everybody, and it just things are starting to obviously to move forward now.
We did it. We accomplished our reach goal and got a peek into the emotional roller coaster that was David Taylor's life for the past week. Word eventually got out, and what started as a one-on-one interview eventually became a 20-on-1 interview. But I'll always treasure the fact that Bader and I were the first ones to interview David Taylor as the new head coach of Oklahoma State.
When I saw him walk up on stage, I just broke my brain. I was like, this is why. It's surreal.
Gotta get this stuff up on the internet for people to look at, and I have a feeling we're gonna be breaking this all down on the drive home too, trying to get our heads around it.
We're not gonna get home till like midnight. We gotta upload all this stuff.
I wanted to know if this is the first head coach that Bader has covered, like since middle school, high school, and then all the way up, all the way through college, international career, and now taking over a big program.
Yeah, I have nobody else that I can think of.
How old was David when you first interviewed him?
High school, probably, I'm guessing. What was that, 15 years ago? Something like that. It's pretty cool. David Taylor, like, grew up on FloWrestling. I remember before I was working here, I was watching, and I thought it was awesome, right? And they were, Martin would go around and interview all these college coaches and go to these colleges, and you could see their practices, and it was really cool, right? And I was really into college wrestling. It was not that far removed from college wrestling myself at the time. And then I go there one day, and there's this little bitty kid with these big old ears sitting against like a maroon mat. And his shirt's off, and it's after practice. Martin's interviewing him. He was that kid, and then he was the 4-time state champ, and he was the Iron Man champ, and now, Penn State, and he's the Magic Man comes alive, and then, the Dake series, right, which goes from college into the international, and then moving up to 86, and then just like, not that it didn't take off the whole time, but those last few years, he really just exploded into the best in the world.
When you look at David now, he's the head coach of Oklahoma State. Do you still see that little kid that you met on that purple mat?
Well, sometimes with those ears, you're like, those ears look the same. That thought crossed my mind actually when he was up on stage today. They say I flashed before my eyes. I was like, damn, that's that little baby boy. He's up there. And that's why I think I was telling you earlier, probably off camera, my brain felt broke. I was like, David Taylor's the head coach at Oklahoma State. This is crazy, but it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
If you made it this far in the video, please comment, Mark Bader is a legend.